If you've been watching other news anchors and pundits over the last day, you may think they sound like a bunch of kids on Christmas Eve. Now, why am I saying that?
You made it to Friday. It is the beginning of the Labor Day weekend, and talk heating up that special counsel Robert Mueller could drop an August surprise.
Axios looking at speculation over whether Bob Mueller may actually make some sort of an announcement today.
Hot speculation among the president's lawyers that today might be a day of action for Robert Mueller.
Well, today's not quite over yet, but it's a nice serving of wild, unsourced speculation on a Friday. Come on, guys. The news isn't that boring today. There's a lot happening. But are the president's critics grasping at any straws over the Mueller probe at this point? Joining us now to analyze is Alan Dershowitz, author of the big bestseller, The Case Against Impeaching Trump. We're also joined by Kendall Coffey, a former U.S. attorney. Great to see both of you. Professor Dershowitz, that is quite amusing. I've been hearing that it's coming, there's something coming. I don't think Mueller's office is leaking anything. They've been pretty, they've been pretty tight. So is this just, a case of desperate wishful thinking on the part of the media?
Well, I think they thought that we're now 2 months away from the beginning, really, of the elections. And Justice Department regulations say you shouldn't have matters that might interfere with voting or interfere with the election or put a thumb on the scale of voting within 2 months. So this was a time when maybe something would have happened. But look, I think today what's happened is news reporting has become part of the adversary system. Kendall and I are used to the adversary system. He's one of the world's great lawyers. He was my lawyer, in fact, and he and I both understand the adversary system. One side presents its view of the facts, the other side presents its view of the facts, and then you have a judge or a jury decide. That's what's happening with journalism today, and wishful thinking substitutes often for careful analysis.
Kendall, we're going to play, we have a couple different George Stephanopoulos sound bites. We'll play the second one, where, again, he's this guy's been around for a while now. He used to work for the Clintons, obviously, but he's been around for a while. But this is what constitutes reporting today. Let's watch.
The New York Attorney General has filed suit against the Trump Foundation, which could lead to a criminal referral. The Manhattan District Attorney also considering charges against the Trump Organization. Trump facing lawsuits in Maryland and D.C. over the Constitution's Emoluments Clause. And, of course, Special Counsel Robert Mueller investigating possible collusion with Russia and obstruction of justice. The big question going forward, will any of these investigations lay the groundwork for impeachment proceedings in Congress?
Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And we're reporting it breathlessly like this is all new stuff. Kendall.
Yeah, I've never seen speculation become so intoxicating to the media. I have to say, by the way, as an aside, Alan Dershowitz is the greatest legal talent in America and a personal hero of mine. But I also
you guys are too much. You guys are too much.
Alan speaks for himself. He's magnificent. But let me talk about the election, because they're not supposed to drop bombshells on the midterm. Who knows if there's any bombshells to drop? And let's also recognize that the election is coming up very fast. If there was a 2-year standard, a 2-month standard years ago, early voting in Florida, pretty important state, starts around October 27th. Overseas absentees go out next month, and by October, beginning of October, domestic absentees go out. So I don't think there's any bombshells that they're rolling out anytime soon, but from the standpoint of avoiding interference with an election, I think the deadline is passed.
All right, Professor Dershowitz, the guy who's already in the middle of the Lanny Davis Trump Tower stories, anonymous source controversy, Jim Scudo, who I always mispronounce, he also weighed in on the speculation. Let's watch.
I mean, you use the term constitutional crisis, and that phrase has been uttered a number of times and warned about on a number of things. In this environment, though, would it really be received that way, right? Because arguably the president has shirked constitutional responsibility, certainly broken norms a number of times, frankly, without consequences.
Broken norms. Now we're at broken norms, Alan.
Well, you know, the system of checks and balances is working very, very effectively. The courts are striking down some executive orders, upholding some. The media is critical of the president, some supporting the president. The academy is generally putting pressure against the president. Churches, business, everybody's involved in checking and balancing everybody else. Democracy is working. This is not a constitutional crisis. If the president is subpoenaed, he'll go to court. And if he goes to court, he may win, he may lose. And if he loses, he'll comply with the orders of the court. This is the way Madison had in mind when he created our awkward system of checks and balances, which was not designed to promote efficiency, but to avoid tyranny. It's working.
Well, Kendall, I'd say I'm not sure Madison had a special counsel in mind. I might beg to differ with the professor there. I don't know about that. To me, it seems like this has gone way beyond a check and a balance. Check and balance was impeachment and conviction in the Senate. I'm not sure a special counsel is what any of our framers intended, but I want to move on to another topic because I have you two gentlemen here. I'd like to get your thought on another Mueller-related tip. Two sources told Fox News' Catherine Herridge the DOJ's Bruce Orr kept a Mueller deputy in the loop about the anti-Trump Steele dossier. So, in other words, does that endanger Mueller's ethical standing? I'll go to Kendall on that.
Well, it's troubling, isn't it? I mean, if you think about, and whether it splashes over to Bob Mueller is a different question. But it's obvious that Bruce Orr's wife was working for a private company funded by Democrats. Some of my best friends are Democrats as it goes, but nevertheless, that is a glaring conflict of interest. And what interactions he had with others, which were frankly outside of his immediate duties as the director of OCDETF, which focuses on drug trafficking organizations, is also unclear. So it raises a lot of questions. DOJ, in my mind, has not done a satisfactory job of explaining it. They're really effective at investigating others, but when they go under the microscope, sometimes we don't get a lot of clarity.
All right, Alan, at the end of the week here, any more thoughts on Bruce Orr? It was a closed-door testimony this week, but his name has been occupying a lot of airtime for obvious reasons with his connection with Christopher Steele. His wife, of course, works at Fusion GPS. You know the drill.
Well, I was prepared to give Bruce Orr the presumption of innocence. He was a student at Harvard Law School. Everybody tells me he's a really good guy. And the thing that really put me away from, or maybe overcame, the pure presumption of innocence is the presence of his wife at a lunch or breakfast or whatever it was meeting where obviously he was trying to obtain information in an official capacity and his wife was working for a private company. I do think that the Inspector General now has to really look into that relationship, and I trust the Inspector General. I think he's one of the very few people who comes away from all of this looking very good, and I would leave it to the Inspector General to give us a thorough investigation, a good answer as to the relationship between Bruce Orr, his wife, the company, the Democrats, the Justice Department. It's very complicated.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much.